Hello, it's time for Laid Back with Betfair ahead of a huge weekend, Caulfield Guineas weekend, 3 Group 1s. As I welcome in the man, Dave Strehlau, the Salts. Sultan, how are you, mate?
Tommy, good to be here, mate.
You up and about?
Yeah, I'm always up and about on a Thursday, mate. I love previewing the form for Saturdays. It's always very exciting, particularly this time of year.
You love coming in and seeing me, having a chat.
Yeah, it's great, mate. We catch up. We have a few off-air jokes, couldn't make it on air, but...
Very funny people.
Yeah, funny dudes, 5 stars on Spotify, you and I, 14,000 reviews.
Oh, very good. What have we got coming up? Do you want to go to last week? Because you wanted to pop me, didn't you?
Yeah, I've had a few messages from the connections of Smoke and Romans. There's a few of them that are vocal.
Oh, no.
Vocal on Twitter, and they said, do you mind us bringing up what Tommy said about the old Smoke and Roman ahead of the Turnbull on the weekend?
It's missing a star, this race.
I agree with that. It's missing a proper.
We've got Smoke and
top
Romans
liner
in the mix, right? Smoke and Romans isn't a Group 1 Turnbull horse.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Smoke and Romans, 100 metres to go, still in front, and will win the Turnbull. Smoke and Romans from Maximal second.
Yeah, well. Wow. What a joke of a race that was.
Oh, well.
I told you there was no stars.
But what about
it?
The weights? He was weighted so poorly. He come out, just got the perfect trail on a slow tempo. People were potting Gold Trip. He was 3 wide. I reckon they should have gone forward on him.
Jamie, you
I thought
Jamie. You put her in the lay bin on the right.
Text message.
Oh, sorry.
It's not
private anymore.
A bit of a slow tempo, but geez, he's red hot for a Caulfield Cup now. He's going to stay better than the others, and he's dropping in weight. So,
interesting, because the first 4 in run settled, first 4 in finishing. So
yeah.
Joke of a race, went slow tempo, but I bounced back. Let's have a listen to this. Race 3, Sydney, Hosier. This horse is 8 weeks between runs. Brilliant mid-prep trial. We talked about this. Mid-prep trials, absolutely gun jockey booking with the claim. Rolls forward, no speed in the race. You're getting $7 or $8 this horse, each way all day. Won 6 out of 10. Disrespected in the market again, $7, $8. Rolls forward, controls the tempo, each way, all day. Race 3, number 2, Hosier, my best of the day. Hosier, got the chocolates, mate?
I took you to church, mate, the next day. You would have been feeling good going to church, front row, and you had no sins after he crossed the line. So congrats, mate. You read that map. That's one for map betters.
Yes.
Because you said, and the Mahagoni or whatever the favourite was, getting back, slow tempo. Well played, mate.
Thank you. Good to get one right. I'm pretty bullish this Saturday too. I'm very bullish. Caulfield, I've got a few at value. I'm up and about. Maybe it's confidence from Hosier last week, the best bet. But
we might have to have another dinner bet because we spoke on Saturday and said, well, look, even though Kemmel Passer, he put a hole in Ethelric or whoever it was that you would put a hole in him by a head. They come second last and last, so we've thought, well, yeah, there's not much honour in that, so maybe we'll find a new dinner bet, or rather than me taking you to Hog's Breath for the 18-hour slow cooked steak, maybe I'll just get like a Happy Meal or something.
I'll get you a Happy Meal, and then we'll have another bet. We'll find another bet coming up. As we said, we've got Caulfield. We'll touch on that in a minute. 3 Group 1s, Caulfield Guineas, Might and Power, Toorak. What a day of racing. One of my favourite days of racing, Salts. But it's time for the lay bin. Now, I've got plenty here. Do you want me to go first? Or
yeah, you can go first.
Come off the long run.
Yeah, go for it.
Come from Burnley.
I'll chime in.
Shine the ball on my pants, walking up the stairs here. You would have caught this. Ambulance getting bogged at Canterbury on Wednesday. Let's have a look at this. What ridiculous scenes. That is absolutely comical and in the lay-in. They need a 4-wheel drive ambulance for Sydney, mate.
Yeah, don't they? Particularly with all the bog tracks. They had a fair few bit of manpower in behind, didn't they?
It's like a scrum. Lots going on there. I could keep going here. Cricket Australia. I don't know if you're aware of this. Probably the viewers were. There was a T20 on last night.
Well, I'm only aware because I saw the back foot cover drive from old mate from the West Indies.
Now
on Twitter. I didn't, and there was a one day the other week against New Zealand. Yep. Mind you, I didn't even know existed.
I think there's a couple.
Their marketing
Cricket Australia
is just
turn up.
Doesn't even exist.
Do something. People would have watched that. It was Wednesday night. I tuned in a little bit between form and saw the best shot I've ever seen. That shot by Kyle. I'm backing that shot. That is the best cricket shot I've ever seen.
I don't think anything's ever been better timed. Before.
He didn't move. He didn't even follow through.
Casual.
Went 105 metres, if you don't mind.
It's in orbit.
It was one of the best shots I've ever seen. How's the keeper? This is in the lay bin. Massive lay here. The wicket keeper for West Indies keeping in a short sleeve shirt. That's you can't be doing that.
You know what I will say though? So that's obviously a cricket rule. But a lot of people that play cricket after the age of 20 are nerds. So that's a rule.
I don't think the West Indian keeper's a nerd, though.
No, exactly. So he can do what he wants.
Yeah,
he's not a nerd. So that's a rule that keepers make. Like, look at some of the keepers, real cricket nuffies. So if he wants to buck the trend, maybe he's a bit of a dude.
You're backing him, eh?
Maybe he's a dude, yeah.
Maybe you've got the broad brim zone.
Yeah,
Keeping a broad brim and just to buck the
he's
trend.
a bit of a dude.
Before you go in, you've walked in here and said you are the human invoice.
Yeah, well,
you want to explain what's going on there?
Well, I'm a subcontractor. So everything I do is invoiced.
You said you don't get out of bed unless you're invoiced for it.
That is true. It's a good position to be in, man. I'm not going to complain about it. I do hate writing invoices up, though.
Have you used a program already? No, just up my hand.
Just write them up, mate.
Then accountant soon.
Yeah, I've got one of those, don't worry. Oh. But anyway, you chuck them into the MyOb program or whatever. But anyway, right. So I digress. What I'm putting in the lay bin is trade month, really. So what is it 2 weeks or 3 weeks?
Or? They have a week build up and I don't know. I don't know. They shortened it, didn't they?
Well,
it used to be 2 weeks and nothing would get done for the first week and a half.
Well, whatever's happening now, I don't know how long it is now. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's too long.
Yeah.
Well, for example, like Dan McStay came to Collingwood. Everyone knew he was coming to Collingwood 6 months ago. Everyone's been talking in the background for months and months. Patrick Dangerfield said that he got on to Geelong about taking on the Jack Bowers, is it?
Yeah.
From Gold Coast contract like months ago. Head of the AFLPA talking contracts. Interesting. Just could have said something about my mate Jackie Boy Ginnivan, but anyway, digress.
Oh, I won't go.
But it goes too long, and just the rumours. So in the lead up to Jordan De Goey signing for Collingwood, they announced it Friday night at the Club Best and Fairest.
Mm.
One of the major networks went within the space of 4 days. He signed. The next day, he's not going to sign. He's probably going to go to St Kilda now. St Kilda are front runners. The next day, Collingwood are front runners. He's signed. Shut up. The rumours, they just make stuff up.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
The longer it goes, the more stuff they make up. And it's actually disrespectful to the fans.
They just hijack the media. That's what they do,
journalists should
mate.
be reporting facts.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the main job of a journalist, is to report the facts and what's happening, not just make stuff up. It's disrespectful to the fans.
Can we report some facts now? It was good from you.
Let's
report some facts and who's going to win. Now, we head to Caulfield. Rail in the true position. What are you doing the track, 4, 5 or 6?
I reckon like the top end of a 4 or a 5, because currently it's had 12 mils of irrigation this week. It got 8 mils of rain yesterday. It's still a good 4. In Melbourne today, it's warm. Tomorrow there's not much more rain for the rest of today whatsoever. Tomorrow there's a bit of rain. It says 10 to 15 mils or whatever, but the wind's up and then the race day's clear. They're going to irrigate it tomorrow if it doesn't rain.
Yep.
They need to, because it started the week as a 3. So I wouldn't be expecting this to be a wet track or anything along those lines. And
fair enough.
I'd expect it to play fair enough as well.
I like it, mate. I like it. Railing the true. We head to race 3. So we'll do races 3 to 9 at Caulfield. We might touch on a very wet Randwick later in the program as well. Let's get stuck into business. Group 3 Thoroughbred Stakes, 1,200 metres for the 3-year-old fillies. We've both got, looks like, differing opinions here. You can go first.
We do. I'm with 2 horses I'm going to back. I'm going to back Nana Guy, who comes through the Cap Don Teebs. And you're going to touch on that race in a little bit. And I'm interested to know
I back Nana Guy.
Why you're against it? Okay, nice one. Well, why you're against it? Because on the same day as the boys, Buenas Noches, who then ran Giga Kick to a schnoz, who that horse is now in an Everest and was going to be Coolmore favourite. On the same day that Buenas Noches went down the straight, the Cap Don Teebs ran 2 lengths faster. And Nana Guy was strong through the line. So fastest last 6'4", 200 of the race. I think she'll gobble up 1,200 metres of strong tempo. So happy to be with her. I don't know why she's $9.
Yeah. I don't disagree. She's run well at Caulfield before as well. So that was a little bit of a concern whether she's just a big track horse. Her probably 2 best wins or runs have come at Flemington down the straight as well. Caulfield's a little bit of a concern. But all these forms intertwined, and even my main play in the race is intertwined to a degree from a Moonee Valley run, the St Albans Stakes, a listed race. But this preparation, they're all intertwined. That Cap Don Teebs, we saw Cess Magique come through a pack and a maiden win at start 60s and go close. So that leads me to look for different form. My best play in the race is huge value here, and that is number 14, La Danseuse Rouge. Beat a horse called Boldano last start. Boldano came out 1/4, rated through the roof. They went really fast early, really fast home, really high rating race. She's got plenty of upside. She paraded with improvement. She brings slightly different form. I know she ties in through the St Albans Stakes through Nanagai in March, but I think this filly's improved from that. I think she's a better racehorse. She got the blinkers on first time last start. She improved. She raced a bit keen.
Yep.
Up to 1,200 metres is a slight concern, but there's always going to be queries at this price. I think she's a huge price. She maps perfectly from barrier 8. The form stacks up, rates well, times are there. I just love her as a each way play at $35. I think it's a huge price. So you'll get better on Betfair BSP as well. So she's my main play. And I went looking against that Captain Teebs. I'm just worried about that form being intertwined. And Kin was unlucky last start. Should have got a clearer run. Jamie Carr jumps on board. Jai McNeil's not riding as good as Jamie Carr at the moment. Draws inside, which is a slight concern, but she might need luck again. But I think she's a nice horse. My other one down the bottom might need a bit of luck from a wide barrier, but Sweeten's got ability as well. So I've just gone against that Captain Teebs, so we're slightly differing here.
She's got a bit of upside, of course, Sweetened. But
yeah.
The other one I'm with is English Riviera, who did come through the Captain Teebs, then went to the Champagne at Moonee Valley, and just nothing went right with the pattern against. I thought she was strong through the line. I like her drawn out at Caulfield. I think she's ready to win a race. So I'll back Nanagai and English Riviera. The one that I just cannot believe, I know it's $6 a field, but I can't believe. Well, I can believe because I know why the bookies have done it, but Kin at $6. If you want to back Kin, I'll be waiting back late on the fair. There's no way it tightens. It has to drift. It's won a 900-metre Newcastle maiden, and then it comes to a fillies handicap, 1,000 metres, where it was held up, but it's also a fast horse, so it can just jog in on the bridle in behind him. And now it's got to get to 1,200 in a high-pressure race. I can't have it. I'll mark it triple what it is. 900
Newcastle maidens might be good form for races in Melbourne at the moment, mate.
Not bad, not bad. Fair dart, but yeah, I can't have it. If
no, I see your point.
Yeah, but I'll go lay it now and then it'll drift. But it's not one that you could probably. I wouldn't want to lay it late because I reckon it'll get to like $12 on Betfair. I don't want to cop that much liability for it, but I just can't believe that it's gone up this price. I reckon they're trying to get people to bet it because it was a flashing light.
Yeah, it's the unlucky runner always. But you go through Nanagai's form. Like, you go through it says Group 3 form or whatnot. Listed form, Group 3 form. Beats Sebenak, who can't get out of its own way. Kiko, Ruthless Dame. Mumbai Jewel hasn't beaten a runner home this prep. Crosswinds and all sassed up in that Moonee Valley. Like, it's not actually...
Different horse this prep.
Might be.
Don't worry about last prep.
Yeah, trialled really well.
Busted the clock.
But I'm just saying that the form I don't actually think's that good in a lot of these races. That's why I went looking for something slightly different from left field, and I think $34 is a great price for number 14, La Danseuse Rouge. Let's push on. We talked about that race for a long time. We had opinions there. The listed Village Stakes, race 4, 1,200 metres. Your run sheet's blank. You're not keen on the race?
Yeah, well, we spent a lot of time on that race, so I can skip through this one. I got Gravina on top, but he probably got a better fresh horse. He got to the front too early last start in the Testarossa off a fast tempo. He's the map horse here, but he's another one where I think fresh is best. Triple Missile Files first up. Curran okay last start. Zethus was really good first up, but geez, had the run. But yeah, a race I'm happy to stay out of.
I saw the race similar to you. I went looking for different form again, and I'm very confident of one at a big price here as well that can run a drum. And it looks an average race, a lot of different form. Nothing really caught my attention when going through the field and doing the form, but I started to look at the trials of Pintoff and the jump outs, and this really caught my interest, and I'm a big fan of this horse. Now, go through the record. Loves Caulfield, loves 1,200 metres, loves 1,200 metres at Caulfield, done nothing wrong. Best form's good enough to win this, and the jump outs were enormous. Tongue tie goes on, huge price. I'm having a bet on Pintoff each way from barrier 3. Damien Oliver on board.
Yeah, that's one I looked at as well, and I watched both the jump outs. They were quite good. The latest on the synthetic, but it was a good jump out. The one prior was good. It's just like the query of a high pressure 1,200 metre race, because that's what he does best, just rides the speed and runs him into the turf. So not easy to do first up, but can see why you'd side with him at a price.
$30 or $25 you don't have much on. We head to the Group 2, Herbert Power, winning you're in the Caulfield Cup. If they're heading that way, I am with Regal Lion on top. Not much confidence for me. I'm not as confident as the last two races, but I love the win of Regal Lion last start. Sectional start, Savage the Lion. I think he's flying this horse. He ran 7th fastest 400 of the day last start over that 1,700 metres. Great return. Query is he might be a big track horse, but that win rated really highly, and I think he's the horse to beat, but not overly confident. You?
Yeah, well, I'm happy to be against Desert Icon. Had all the favours at Moonee Valley last start. Now goes up in weight some 4 kilos and has to run out 2,400 metres. Scratched at the barriers last week in the Bart Cummings, and prior to that scratching was starting to get on the schnoz a bit with the market. Didn't like it late. So at $5, I'd expect the same to happen here. Not well suited at the weights. The one that's well suited at the weights, Verse Desert Icon. Hate when people say verse me, but Verse Desert Icon is per
against.
So placing a Caulfield Cup last year, I never missed a placing at Caulfield. Gets 2 kilos off Desert Icon for the last start at Moonee Valley when the pattern was against him, and he was also held up. Ran the fastest last 200 metres of the race per son, and got out too late. I think fitter now, gets to the right trip, can run a race at a price, and Saracen Knight. The Winkers went on last start at Mornington, and it was no fluke. Carl went on, completely bolted in. They ran a genuine clip there.
And he's run the 9. Going on was a positive sign that it was just going to go out and do that?
Well, in hindsight, when I was watching it in the run, and something was trying to hold it in at the 800, and then she just said, "Get out of my way, you idiots!" And then it bolted in. I thought that was probably a bet, because it was really good to start prior. It had excuses. I think it was Rose Hill, and then was really good and giving big weight at Moonee Valley the start prior. So weighted real well, kilo off from last start, maps well again, and he's, like 9th fastest last 200 of the day last start, off a good tempo. I think
impressive.
Really well weighted and flying as well. So I'm going to back them both, Saracen Knight and Persan.
There you go. Point of Pan can improve as well, in my opinion.
It rode a fast tempo.
Yeah, had excuses last start.
Yeah.
My best bet of the day, I think, potentially, comes up race 6 in the Group 2 Schillaci Stakes, over 1,100 it is, which is a key point. I want to hear you go first here.
Well, I'm going to back Zoo Style. I think he's back. What he did last start at Moonee Valley, so he was 3 wide early. It was a very fast tempo. It was 3 wide early and then ended up outside the leader, who you give 8.5 kilos to, but the rail was fire, and he never saw the rail ever in transit. And he was good the start prior, when I think it was the McEwen. He missed the start and then had to hunt up.
That was a huge run.
Yeah, it was a really big run. And we were both against him. I didn't think he was capable of that in terms of where he was at in the progression
if he jumps, he
his
wins
career.
Too. If he left the barriers with him, he probably wins that.
Yeah, so the thing with me in this race is that there is good pressure, but I think he could probably find the front. And if that's the case, 1,100 metres, I reckon it'd be hard to run down, because I really liked what he did through the line last start after a tough run. I think he's looking for that now.
Does him and Queen of the Ball put pressure on each other?
They do, but the thing with Queen of the Ball is the last start, when you look at the data versus the eye, they don't match up, because she actually went slow to the 600. You want to talk about favours last start.
Every possible.
I think we're both huge mid-race slowdown. Home like real fast last 600, well enough, but one of those ones where...
On the Travelada too.
Yeah, exactly. You look at this, and now has to come back in trip, a high-pressure race against some Bulldogs.
Yep.
That was a career peak. I think she'll regress, but if you look at the data, you can say when a horse goes out even then sprints home, sometimes you can say, hey, if they went faster, it might have won by more, but you look back through her career, she's only ridden a fast tempo once, and she spontaneously combusted. So I don't think that a fast tempo race, even with 51 kilos, is going to help her. I think the others will out bulldog her, and the one that will be on speed with her is Zoo Style.
I think he's tougher than her. Yeah.
Oh, that's what I mean. Yeah, there's some bulldogs here that I think that she'll pop.
So I think we're both against the horse that had all the favours last start, Queen of the Ball. I think she's a chance, but I just think she's too short at the moment. Yep. I'm very, very, very bullish Palali. Got it marked closer to $2 than $2.70, $2.80. I said last start I was pretty against him in the Moya. He started favourite there. We didn't actually. He got Coolangatta was it Coolangatta? Who got smashed? Something ended up firming a lot to start favourite in that Moya. But do you want me to get it up?
No.
You look. I'll get it up. I'll tell you.
It's a pill for that. Now.
Rothfire smashed.
Oh, yeah. Map horse.
Rothfire was smashed in betting that day, so Polati didn't actually start favourite. But this horse could not do anything more in that run. Was back on that day. You needed to be up on speed. Was back in the ruck. Only time it had faced 1,000 metres was on debut. When I said this was my case against Polali on the night.
Yeah.
1,000 metre. It's 1,100, 1,200 metre horse. Still managed to run the fastest 200 metres of the race. Love what he did late. Up to 1,100 metres here. Barrier 2. James Mcdonald jumping on board again. He rode it last start. I'd love the setup for him. I think he's almost a good thing. I think $2 is his price. And I'm happy to take the 270.
He was a little bit run off his feet there at 1,000.
He is.
So it's only another 100 metres. I know. My query
there's less pressure
is,
here though, surely.
Yeah, but I know he's got James Mcdonald on, but I can't see him anywhere but 3 back the fence. Queen of the Ball and Zoo Style go forward. In the boat, 2 jump out since he just wasn't ready first up. Market said that. Clearly they want him to go forward. Oxley Road has better speed out the barriers from 1 than Paul Ailey from 2. So I see him 3 back the fence.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, you're going to need a little bit of luck there, Tommy.
I might. Yeah. I might be...
but that's racing.
I might be nervous. I might be nervous. But
I'm with Zoo Style because of the map over Paul Ailey.
Fair enough.
That's why for me.
Fair enough. Well, good debate there. Let's get to... I don't even know if you're aware of this, but let's get to the Betfair back to school. All right. I haven't warned you of this. But
I'm aware. Take you to school, bro. Yeah.
Take you to school. Let's talk about wet track form. Obviously, it's very salient at the moment. It's timely that we start talking about wet track form because we should have talked about 3 years ago in Sydney. But do horses that haven't had a start on wet tracks, do you mark them down? Because Milo of the Day coming up soon doesn't actually have any wet track form. Do you mark them down, or can they get through it unless proven otherwise?
I prefer not to gamble on it.
Yep.
Depending on the heaviness of the track.
Yep.
Like, for example, if they go around at Sydney this weekend and you haven't shown, and you've only performed to a soft 6, well, I probably won't bet you. But it's the wet track form. Like in the last at Canterbury yesterday, there was a horse by the name of Cruel Summer who had trialled up magnificently, an absolute swimmer. The horse that beat him had failed on a heavy track within the stewards, failed due to track condition, and won by like 7 lengths.
And had race fitness.
As
well. It was bizarre, wasn't it? But there was a few of them yesterday.
Yeah.
At Canterbury.
Yeah, so you're lying if you're not guessing. But it is something that you want to see. What I don't get sucked into with wet track form is the numbers. Something might have 5 starts from a wet track, 0-0-2 or something like that. And people are like, oh, it doesn't go on a wet track. Whereas I can look at the data and see, well, you know what? It actually does handle that. It's just bumped into races where it has a minute's place as well to win. So it does handle wet tracks.
A couple in Sydney that have stepped up considerably in trip onto a heavy deck and failed, and it's probably, and then they've gone for a spell. It's probably the end of the prep.
Yeah. It's
probably for other reasons rather than a heavy track, right? That's what you're trying to say there. You got to look deeper into the form on the wet tracks. There's also different types of wet tracks. Randwick to Rose Hill to Canterbury to Kensington. Like, they're different surfaces. Flemington to Caulfield, wet tracks probably different. Moonee Valley, Strathair, different surface. So there's different levels of wet track. A horse that can go well on a 8 might fail on a 10.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. Some of them don't like those sticky 8s, but just might be complete mudlarks. So you got to look deeper into the form. I speak to people, and some of them actually find value in horses that are untried on wet. Mm-hmm. They actually think that because the wet trackers and genuine wet trackers are always well found. As soon as you get a heavy 10, everyone just dives into the horse that's 4 from 8 on a wet track or whatever. But if you're untried on a wet track,
money.
Yeah, correct. 100.
Now 1
example.
from 10 on a wet track. Benchmark 78.
Perfect example. There are those that actually buck the trend and go, well, this horse isn't tried. It could get through the wet and has great value.
Yeah, you got to get the price.
Presents a betting opportunity. Yeah. So
I don't have I don't love to have hard and fast rules.
Yeah.
When doing the form, I like to just assess everything on its merits. But one thing that I do really like that I don't particularly like all the time is on very wet tracks is horses back in trip.
You don't like?
No, I like them on wet tracks.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'm on a good form. I'm not seeking out horses 14 back to 12 as a rule, but on a wet track, I think that's actually a positive.
Well, good. We'll talk about a horse later in the Silver Eagle that fits that mould.
Yeah.
We could talk about that for a long time. I love it. Our trial chat last week went well. Got a few hits.
Yeah, and it just goes to show that there's no right answer.
No,
there's no steadfast approach.
Yep.
People can approach things differently, and as long as you're getting the outcome from your approach, plus 25% if they're starting $4. Well, you're coming out a winner, aren't you? So as long as you get it right, you and I can be right 40% of the time with two different approaches, and we're laughing. We're
Correct.
rolling in it.
Yep.
So,
Correct.
yeah.
Love it. There's no method. That's everyone brings different ideas and mentalities and betting strategies. I love it. All right, let's push on. Group 1 racing starts at race 7 at Caulfield, the Group 1 Might and Power. It's basically the Cox Plate field. Do you like them all lining up here? We've got Zaki, Animo, I'm Thunderstruck, whoever it might be. They're all lining up. Do you like them? I'd rather them just go to the Cox Plate and so many more unknowns. We're all going to see them here.
Yeah, it's the Cox Plate, isn't it? So it's like it's really going to narrow the market down for the Cox Plate. Like this is the race that they'll draw the form from. So
who's the horse from left field? Might be the International or Bogadon or Bodegon or whatever it is.
Yeah. Or I Wish I Win, but they'll probably go to the Golden Eagle.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's exciting that it's happening now though, and that none of them are dodging it or anything. And in terms of the race itself, I'm happy to stay out. I think he's short enough, Animo, but I think until he proves otherwise, we've got to treat him as the best 2,000 metre weight for age horse in the country until he shows us otherwise. He had a bit of a shoe issue last time. I'm not quite sure he was 3 out of 5 lame. I think something was digging into his foot or something. Yeah, and then they fixed him up and he was fine.
He walked
fine.
So
he wasn't that. Yeah, he wasn't that bad. But he sat outside the leader, 1,600 metres. He'll sit on the leader's back here. Zaki might lead. Alligator Blood might lead. What happens there, I'm not sure. But he's the one that tags them, and then I'm happy to say that he's the one that should be finishing over the top of him. I haven't seen any evidence to say otherwise. Won't back him, won't lay him.
I see it the same. It's not a race. These races are so trappy and tricky and tactics and
Zaki's potentially the value in the race because he was 14 to 1,800 metres last start. He's the one that consistently runs ratings in the winning range here, whereas Alligator Bloods hasn't done it at 2,000 metres. I know he was really good at 1,800 metres last start, but not as consistently at that level. So he's potentially the value in the race, Zaki, but I don't want to have a bet.
I agree. It's tactics. Like the Underwood was a real messy race. The reason I'd be with Animo is because he just doesn't come through the Underwood, which was real trap. It was slowly run race. We had I'm Thunderstruck. The other one
that gets me about the Underwood is Moanga running past.
That's
them.
what I mean.
I was like, I thought he was gone.
Yeah,
I still don't think he's a weight for age 2,000 metre horse in terms of a winning hope.
Yep.
So the fact he ran so well, I was like,
100%.
That's put up some question marks.
100%. So that's why they might come for Animo. I think he's about the right price, to be honest. I think I've got him on top if I was tipping in the race, but not a race I'm too keen to bet on. There's better bets on the program. We head to the Caulfield Guineas, 1,600 metres Group 1 worth $3 million. Not an inspiring field for me. It's disappointing.
Well, outside some of the top form, this is it's a 3-year-old sort of.
Where's Af Cabin? Where I know it's bled, but where are the stars?
Yeah, it doesn't have the aura of some past.
A couple of them have gone to Everest.
Yeah,
Jack and O and In Secret.
Yeah,
probably had.
Why wouldn't you?
In Secret's
it's a difficult race. The market's found the favourite and probably too much to an extent now. He's got a 2 in front of the name, Golden Mile, but he comes through the Golden Rose, which is 1,400 metres, and now he goes to the Caulfield Guinea, which is the mile. So, he's named to get the mile, if you're into names.
Should he be named Golden 7 Furlong?
No, I think he'll get the mile on class alone, and I think he's better ridden cold. He's run first up, he's run second up, he was explosive. The second up run was 1,400 metres. He stayed at 1,400 metres in the Golden Rose, which was a bit of a negative because he was profiling like he wanted the mile. And then they just didn't have a choice where he was trapped wide. They had to go, push the button on him early, face the breeze, up on what was a good tempo. You look at his work through the line, you think, does he want further? But he had to do too much work. From this barrier, Mcdonald, there's no way he's pressing the button on him and going forward. He'll have him a couple pairs back, covered up and probably runs it out. Don't want to have a bet, but another one, it's hard to get enthused about betting or laying because I don't want to lay him because I think he'll win.
There's a few of them that are best horse in the race. Get often have a few of them that aren't betting propositions, but they're best horse in the race, so they're very scary, like Animo and the previous.
Yeah.
He's one of them. I think the mile's the big query for him, but if he gets it, he wins. It's as simple as that, in my opinion. I think he's the best horse in the race. He brings the best form. I think he will get it. I see your point around him getting that colder run, peeling out, being very hard to beat. I could entertain Osipenko at $21. Started.
We'll get a better track. Yeah.
Started $4.40, just the SP profile alone. Started $4.40 against Alf Cabin last start. And again, his Pirellis, he was very plain there, but the track was pretty dicey. Just didn't handle it. He's got that same form line through Kaboo. Ties in through Golden Mile. So he's $21. I could entertain him. But yeah, it's a pretty interesting race. Berkeley Square, the danger?
Yeah, well, he's good kept on the fresh side. And he's probably also better. Yeah, he led 2 back at Flemington, but he's another one that's also better with a bit of cover. I think he'll sit just forward to midfield with some cover and try and finish off. And he's the one that's always, when he stayed at 1,400 metres last, I don't know, it was off 4 weeks, but I thought it was a negative. The market smacked him. And he smacked Tijuana, who then come out and he's in the market here as well. And, won okay in the stud, but nothing to say that he'll turn the tables on Berkeley Square. Amenable gets the blinkers on. That he'll be one that is flashing. I think he's a 2,000 metre horse. He'll probably get too far back, but he ran the fastest last 200 metres of the race behind Alf Cabin last start. None of them could see him behind. So he's one that might flash and get out over further.
Question.
But yeah.
Is there, without notice, and you might not know, is there a Derby horse like a Hitotsu here? Is he one of them, Amenable?
Oh, I think he'll go that way.
Yeah.
No, I don't think there's any Hitotsus in this year's Derby.
No.
A horse delightful award that won at Mildura the other day is going to go towards the Derby with a bit of Mildura form.
And here,
I wouldn't be surprised if he ran it out. So yeah, the Derby's always open.
There's no Johnny Artzino's out.
Artzino's out, yeah.
Cardazio's out.
Yep.
Disappointing.
Yep.
I'll be cheering on Red Sun Sensation 150s, please.
Yeah.
Cheer that home. I've had a bet on that at a big price. Let's get to the other Group 1. We finish off Caulfield with the Group 1 Toorak Handicap race 9 on the program, obviously over a mile. And, I wish I win. Looks hard to beat here. Salts.
Yeah, I think he will win.
Yep.
And I'll back him. He's like $2.80, and I think that's fair enough.
You'd rather take him than Golden Mile?
Oh, yeah.
Same price?
Oh, 100%. Yep. 100%. I'm going to back him. I think he's the best bet on the program. What he did in the Testarossa last start, he dropped back to 1,300 metres after he missed that run in the Rupert Clark, and he sort of really only got out at the 250. The horse he ran down Ayrton's, he was first up, but he's a bloody good horse.
He's a good horse.
He's a good horse, and geez, it was soft on the line, the overall time of the race, and even you push that aside, you see what he did on Australian debut on the same day as the Memsey. He ran virtually identical time, but his last 600 was outstanding relative to the day and the shape of the race. So, yeah, 1,600 metres, it looks like he just absolutely gobbles that up. And don't worry about the barrier. If he just gets in the running line, that's what you want.
I like the barrier.
I don't want him drawn 5.
I think it's perfect barrier.
Yeah.
I wish I win.
If he's drawn 5 and there's a couple go forward underneath, all of a sudden he's flopped back, he's on the rail. He needs some galloping room.
Yep.
He can peel him out early. Peel him out at the 600 and just get him some clear air and just let him jog up to him and then go whoosh go. I think he'll win.
I agree. You've said everything I want to say. I wish I win on top for me in the Group 1. I will have something pinstriped just because I think he's too good a horse. I know he ties in through Gentleman Roy, through I Wish I Win and all that.
He got a bit cluttered up in that Gentleman Roy race last start, and they actually went quite slow and then sprinted, so he wasn't suited.
I think I went a bit too early too. I think this is his target rather than last start. This looks like the perfect race for him. He still ran home really well, so pinstriped, I'll be having a pin on him. He's drawn outside of I Wish I Win, so he could potentially follow him into the race, which would be ideal. Get that suck and they can run it very well together. We'll head to Randwick for the $1 million Silver Eagle. It's going to be a heavy 15. We'll be very quick. Your note here says don't bother, won't race. They might not. I'm leaning to Waterford. You mentioned horses in the wet that back and trip. This horse is 1,500 metres back to 13. Don't mind that at all, despite being a back marker. He brings upside. He's won 3 from 3 here. He's a wet tracker. He won 1,300 metres at Warwick Farm on Australian's debut on a heavy 8. I know this is different. I just think he brings a bit of value into the race at a big price. He's an absolute line chaser. Scared stiff of Mr. Mozart. Espiona was good last start. Ran home really well. Absolute wet tracker. She can run well. Weird kind of prep for her. I didn't expect her to see her in a Silver Eagle. The other one's for Lana. I've had something on for the Golden Eagle at 50s. Swimmer has upside. So,
is that first up?
Yeah, for Lana, which is a
not
query.
Easy to do.
Not easy to do. 1,300 metres first up, heavy 10. So I've lent the way of the fit horse there.
Yeah. If that goes ahead, I'll probably have 2 bets in the race. Mr. Mozart, who did it tough first up, he handles wet tracks, and Even though she was involved in a walk and sprint, first up, Lavish Girl.
Yep.
I don't mind her here because I think she'll lead on her ear. And, yeah, I think I don't mind her at 1,300 metres as well. She's gotten 14 in the past. At one where there's no, absolute heavy track form. She's had one go on a heavy track and finish runner-up, but from a map perspective, I might be on her side. But I'll be very surprised if they race this weekend.
Yeah, me too. Time for our best bets and best lays. I've got a huge number here. I've come in hot. I really like, if they do run in Sydney, I really like Williamsburg, race 7, number 3. Williamsburg on the quick backup, fit, 4th up, quick backup. Ran the fastest late splits last week, came from last in winning, up to 1,800 metres suits. My lay of the day is in this race, Sharp and Smart. Now, this horse could be very good, but the JJ Atkins form's not stacking up at all and he's priced off that run. He's 1,400 metres up to 1,800 metres, second up, 4 weeks between runs, never seen a wet track. I could not possibly come into him as favourite.
Yeah.
He could be a very good horse.
Fair dart, yeah.
He could
What's
be
he seen? A 5. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. My question is, do you have a backup lay? Because this strikes me a bit of easy way out. So the other week I was going to lay a horse by the name of 6B3 or whatever its name is at over 1,400 metres at Morphettville, but it was also in 1,200 metres Melbourne. And I thought they'll probably choose Melbourne. They ended up scratching from both. I thought that's the easy way out. So what did I do? I laid 2 horses and they both lost.
Well, I've done that.
So,
I laid 3 horses in one race.
Yeah, that's true.
Give me a spell. I don't go take this easy.
Right. If this
Queen of the Bull.
If this gets scratched, if they don't go ahead, your lay streak ends.
Queen of the Bull. We're on fire with our lays. I don't think one of them's won in... We had one winner, and that was me, in the whole series, both series, 1 and 2.
Yeah, since I started the show, none of them have won. I'm laying Queen of the Bull.
Yeah, that'll be mine too. I agree. I'm with Palali, best bet of the day. Other bets... Purple Sector and Old Flame, level stake those 2 in race 2. You will collect. Simple as that. They bring you don't agree?
Well, Purple
bring the
Sector,
best form
he just
by a
doesn't
mile.
win. He doesn't win though. He's such a loomer. I've backed him a few times over the last 12 months where he's just looked so set up. I don't think he's a winner.
Yep.
I think he's a pack chaser.
Fair enough. I'll back him and Old Flame. They bring the best form.
Yeah.
I think you won't lose in the race.
Mm-hmm.
They might run 1-2. It's clearly the best form. $7 Purple Sector was huge odds. La Dances Rouge, we talked about race 3, number 14, great each way play. Pintoff, I talked about race 4, number 10 each way, huge price off the jump outs. Race 6, number 1, Paladi, got it marked shorter than 270 for sure. And as I said, my lay is Sharp and Smart. I'll jump on Queen of the Bull with you.
Yeah, lovely. Well,
your best bet?
Yeah, I don't invoice enough for this show to give 17 best bets, so I'll just give one, and it's in the Toorak. I wish I win.
You do invoice enough.
I wish I win.
I've seen your invoice.
Should be winning.
I wish I win.
Pretty keen he does. Best bet of the weekend.
Huge weekend. What have we got? Caulfield Cup next week, the Everest. Peter Verlanders will have to get the choppers out to dry the track during the week.
Get down.
Dry the track out. Been a pleasure, Salts. We'll do it all again next week on Layback with Betfair.
Gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-858-858.